What is going on, gang? It's your boy DBGTX, and we're back with some more Gundam Evolution breakdown roster. That is right, the main roster is here. This is the fourth and final video in regards to the roster breakdown. We're gonna go ahead and hop right into it. Not gonna give too much discussion. You guys have seen 3 videos already. You guys know exactly how I'll get into this. You guys know that sometimes it can take a little bit longer to kind of give the information, flow with the information. So what I am going to be doing right now is just hopping in immediately and getting into the juicy bits, into the units that we're going to be talking about, and then immediately breaking it down without talking. So if you like Gundam, you're here for it, go ahead and hit the sub, the like, the share, and let's go ahead and get to work immediately on this breakdown. Let's go. All right, so in today's video, we have 4 final units to talk about, including the Gundam Barbatos, the Zaku 2, the RX-78-2, and the Pale Rider. We have the Gundam Barbatos. This is the highest difficulty Gundam in the game, alongside the Turn A Gundam, I believe it was. So those 2 Gundams actually have very, very high difficulty, and it's because they're close proximity melee Gundams. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what they're gonna do with the Gundam Barbatos, to see if he has any kind of range abilities, at least to compensate for the overpowering push that they got going with the melee. Next is the Zaku 2, of course. The Zaku 2 is one of the favorites of all time in the Gundam series, particularly in the original Gundam series. When these came out, they gave the RX-78 hell. Not just your typical Zaku, obviously. These are purposely made and designed to be able to keep up with the RX-78. In that sense, this is the archetype, basically opposite of the RX-78 that we will be looking at. Now, a thing to also look at is the fact that this is another thing to look at is the fact that this Zaku 2 says that this is the ranged version of the Zaku 2 and not the close quarter combat. So I'm assuming that they're going to go ahead and release the red Zaku, and the red Zaku is going to end up being way drastically different in regards to the armaments, in regards to what that one can do versus this one. Here we have the RX-78-2, of course. This is the original Gundam. That is right. The original Gundam has to make its way because this is a Gundam game. So without the original Gundam, it just wouldn't work. So the overall fans who love MS Gundam or anything like that, this is a fan favorite, period. So nobody can really complain about this Gundam being here and not, let's say, the Wing Gundam or one of the more iconic Gundams from the latter series, from like the Gundam Seed or 00 or anything like that of the sort. I think this is a good balance for a main protagonist Gundam. Brings back a lot of fans from the original series all the way up to pretty much the latest and greatest Gundam series that could be out there in that sense. Last but not least, we got the Pale Rider. The Pale Rider right here is, I'm going to say that, and quote me on this one, because when I do the video and go into the Pale Rider's informational kit, then I'm going to see if I'm right. I believe the Pale Rider is a mid-range specialist, and that's just me. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it now that we got the Gundams that we're going to be breaking down today. This is the Gundam Barbatos ASWG-08, one of the 72 Gundam frames developed during the Calamity War. As you guys can see, difficulty level 4, close range 1000, the dash limit is 3. That means his maneuverability is going to be insane, allowing you to be able to get in and out of, oh, there it is. Even on the screen, I just saw it. He just took out a Sazabi in 2 fucking hits. And the Sazabi is one of the characters that have one of the highest HPs in the game. That is nuts. That is nuts. So 3 dash limits. Let's see what the weapon skills offer us here. So the mace, which is a sweeping wide arc, dealing damage and knockback. So when you do that, it deals damage, knockback, pushing the enemy back. So it does cause stagger. Wide swing, knockback, stagger. Boom. Getting hit, you'll take about 3 attacks, and it does a wide hit, so it does take damage, not just one enemy, but multiple enemies, as you guys can see on the screen. The next thing that we got is the Mace Smash. Hold to charge up an energy slam attack, damaging and stunning enemies in front of you when released. So when you do this, you can actually hold down the button, and then when you get close to the opponent and you do the Mace Smash, what it does is actually stun the opponent right there on the spot, which you can follow up apparently with the regular main weapon swing. That right here is going to be a dangerous combination. I can definitely tell you, those who have very good maneuverability and ability to get around, those who are going to be playing this heavy are going to love the Barbatos, especially if you want a challenge. Next thing that we have is the G maneuver. So the G maneuver has the Alaya Vinanya system, which activates the Alaya Vinanya, enabling the slash attack for a short time. When you go ahead and use this particular G maneuver, what ends up happening is that you get third person point of view, and you're allowed to go ahead and do sword attacks from one target to the other. I don't see him moving the character, so I'm thinking that the only thing that it gives you is either A, 3 chances to attack and move around to deal 3 massive damage, or B, it gives you the cooldown. So if you're in the cooldown while you're aiming to do the next target, and you fail to do all 3 hits, then it just knocks you out of that mode. You cannot control, you cannot move when you activate the Vinanya system, and it is in a straight line, so you will be targeted, you will be open for attacks from any angle. So hopefully you'll have partners that are going to be able to go ahead and help you out with that. Active skill number 1 is called the boost jump. The boost jump allows you to do a massive leap. So from your standard leap, you could honestly use the boost jump to get into higher ground. This essentially is basically the anti bunny hop that the GN sniper received in the game. So if you need to get into a high place fast to get to counteract a GN sniper or a sniper unit or long range unit, this is how you do it. You dash, boost jump, getting into that spot and go and running up on them to force them to get out of those corner, those camp spots. And that's the reason why this is added to this particular Gundam, because this is going to be imperative to take out certain Gundams that your mid-range specialists are not going to be able to reach because they don't have the ability to get into those crevices. The second active skill is called the long sword. Leap forward and drive the sword downward and stun nearby enemy. Enemies reduced to 0 HP are destroyed rather than disabled. So this is another point where it's being shown that a little bit more features of the game. So your units can be destroyed, and if your unit is destroyed, then you do have to wait for a spawn time versus having someone go ahead and repair your disabled unit and get you back up and running within seconds. Now, I think that there's also a respawn time when your unit is disabled, and I think that any character can go up to your Gundam unit and go ahead and kind of revive you in that sense, kind of like a pickup buddy system kind of thing. But not every unit has a healing gun or anything like that. So the long sword causes destruction versus just disable. That's what it's trying to say there. If you mix the sub weapon 1, which is the Mace Smash, with the active skill 2, is an automatic kill for whatever is in front of you, basically. That is very, very interesting, and honestly, I think that I look forward to using the Barbatos just so I could take out a lot of characters in one single sweep. So that's what we got here. We have, again, the Mace Smash, the Alanya Vinanya system, the boost jump, and the long sword. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the Zaku 2, baby. That is right, Zaku 2, the MS-6 Mobile Suit 06. Difficulty is 4-star. It is a close range. It says range. Oh my God, it is a close range. It is a close range. That's crazy. I thought it would have been a mid-range. The Zaku machine gun, as you can see, takes massive amount of damage up close and in the mid-range. And on top of that, you have no accuracy loss from the mid-range. The G maneuver is the Heat Hawk Axe. This personally is an iconic favorite, of course. Iconic move from the actual series brought into the game. Causes wide damage attack just like the Mace Smash from the Barbatos. It also causes stun damage with anybody in your path. Now, you can control it in the direction. You can slightly move, not so much like completely in a different direction, but you can slightly move the arc in which way you're going when you do use this dash attack. So pay mind that it will allow you to at least kind of like target the way that you want to go ahead and get into the action. But on top of that, it allows you to flip back to your submachine gun pretty fast. So you're going to be able to do heavy combinations like you guys see in the video. It's straightforward. Hawk Slash into the Zaku machine gun. Easy kills, easy dubs, easy disabling. The next thing we got is the active skill, the Smoke Discharge. So basically you hide yourself in a cloud of smoke to become temporarily immune to damage from enemies. So straightforward. This isn't a smoke grenade. I was thinking that it would have been a smoke grenade, but what this ends up doing is that when you use the smoke discharger, you just have invisibility frames. This is honestly something interesting because I've never ever seen something like this in a game. But it's interesting that they also have this sign down here that it says is under development, because I think that they may turn this around and change this up a little bit if this becomes too OP. I have to just kind of toss out there just because of the fact that they say under development. The Cracker Grenade. Oh, the Cracker Grenade. That's a concussive grenade that deals damage, knockback, and stun. So this is basically all grenades in one. That's it. It's all grenades in one. It causes damage, it causes stun like a flashbang, and it causes concussive damage. So all three in one allows you to go ahead and disperse the battlefield, get a lot of characters that are supposed to be playing together, like the gun tank and Barbatos you guys see there, where you will want that gun tank to be connected and close by the Barbatos to give them assistance to, you know, deal massive damage. This right here, the Cracker Grenade, could go ahead and separate that link, separate the units from the field, and have your teammates go ahead and jump into the fray and, you know, help out in that sense to keep them separated and whatnot. On top of that, you can go ahead and mix this in with your active skill 1 after you separate them to go ahead and take out the gun tank, which will be the ideal one to take out first, and then head out after the Barbatos, due to the fact that obviously the gun tank has that mid-range. So now we're gonna go ahead and move over to the Gundam RX-78-2. Here we are, the original Gundam. Man, took us a minute to go ahead and talk about this one, right? Use it. I honestly think that I knew it was going to be in the mid-range. There was no other way that you could put this in any other category but the mid-range. That was a given. That was a given. That was a given. And I'm just glad that I got that off from the very beginning. The weapon, of course, is the beam rifle, mid-range beam with limited recoil but heavy accuracy loss. So this gun works exactly like the Halo Spartan gun. So essentially, from the hip, you get a 3-shot burst, and looking down the sight, obviously, as the sub action, you get a 3-shot burst. The difference is that you don't lose as much accuracy and your gun doesn't stutter. Straightforward beam rifle main action is essentially a 3-burst beam rifle. Takes 3 attacks, as you guys can see. Now we have the Super Napalm. The Super Napalm throws a Super Napalm grenade, explodes after a countdown, delivering heavy damage over time to all units in the large area. So this essentially would be kind of like the name implies, a super fire grenade, which doesn't activate immediately, but upon activation, if you are in the area, it takes massive damage. Honestly, there's not much that I could tell you because it's pretty much straightforward. I'm wondering if this also will cause damage to your colleagues as well. That's another thing to look out for. You know, kind of got to toss that out there. All right, so now we're moving over to the G maneuver. The G maneuver is the super napalm. Honestly, is just as straightforward as it is. It's just like the regular napalm, but the difference is that it takes about 4 to 5 ticks before it blows up. And if you're caught in the range area, then what would end up happening is that it probably, as it seems from full bar, it will kill you if you're closer to the center versus the outer rim of the actual explosion. So make sure that if you see somebody tossing one of these bad boys, you get up out of dodge as soon as possible. Active skill 1 is using the Gundam shield. You can take cover behind the shield, which lasts for a set duration or until it absorbs maximum damage. Ends early if you attack or use the thrusters, but allow dashing and hovering. So essentially with the shield, you'll be able to go ahead and take damage on the shield, for example, and be able to move back and forth. But if you activate any of the dashing move, thruster moves, or anything like that, it immediately negates the shield and you're left open for an attack. It's a trade-off, and unfortunately, you can't do anything besides that. Take damage, use it until they start reloading their weapon, throw it off, start popping them, so on and so forth. Last but not least, it's just straightforward. Man, look, this Gundam is straightforward, man. That's all you gotta know. This Gundam is straightforward. There is nothing that I can really explain to you guys in regards to, oh, this is different, or it's against, you know, the tag, what the tag is saying. No, this is actually what a mid-range specialist will look like. This Gundam is very straightforward. You're gonna be seen a lot in the battlefield, obviously, because the hyper hammer does take half of the health bar automatically with one hit. Honestly, I believe that also hits multiple enemies as it's swinging, and it causes guard break, like it says in the description. Hitting the ground or hitting the wall and pushing them back only helps in the sense of it stopping whoever you went after from immediately attacking you. That's the brutal honesty of how that's working and how that's playing out. So just being cautious. You want to actually go for the hit, and if you can't go for the hit, then honestly step back and try to continue working the mid-range, because the knockback can help you or help your teammates if you miss, but at the same time, if you miss that knockback on the recovery, you're gonna get lit up like a Christmas tree. And the beam rifle, of course, is just like the Spartan gun, like I mentioned before. Hip action, down the scope action. Then you have the super napalm, causing massive damage in the area after 5 seconds or 3.5 seconds, give and take. They probably will nerf that and adjust that as time goes along. Either they nerf it or buff it, one or the other, but I think that they're gonna buff the time so it won't be as long, and at the same time kind of adjust the damage output. The Gundam shield allows you to take cover behind the shield. It could last a certain amount of time or until the damage is done, or eats it all up. You can end it by using your thrusters, dash, any of that, weapons, all that will cause the shield to disappear. Last but not least, we have the hyper hammer, and the hyper hammer again, you can hit the opponent directly, causing knockback and stun, or you can hit the floor, causing minor area damage if you have multiple enemies there, and causing knockback. So use it at your will, but I'd say whack the mole, whack the Gundam that you're going after. I think that that's the best strategy, causing that massive damage. And if anybody's in the way, they're also going to get hit with that morning star. That's just my opinion. Finally, we got the RX-80 PR, and PR does not stand for Puerto Rico. It stands for Pale Rider. Difficulty 2. This is going to be probably the most used Gundam in the battlefield, with the light machine gun on set, on deck. The Pale Rider difficulty 2 has amazing mobility, and it's easy to get into. 2 dash limits, 1000 HP, and it's at the mid-range. This guy right here is going to be in the middle of the action for a lot of newcomers and a lot of people who are just, that is right, who are just getting their feet wet or just want to start building up their damage or their kill streak. We're gonna go ahead and get into it real quick and see exactly what this bad boy is bringing to the table. He has 3 active skills, so that means that he's gonna be a moving army base, basically. So here we go. Bullpup machine gun or light machine gun, pretty much rapid fire mid-range machine gun with heavy recoil and accuracy loss. You aim down the sight to steady the accuracy loss and limit the accuracy loss. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna stop going up. It just means that it's gonna have less of that recoil. Oh, and I like the fact that they're adding actual recoil to it and making it feel like these Gundams are not some OP machines that can steady a light machine gun. It's like playing with human characters, basically, in that sense. And I kind of like it because it's Gundam. It's so Gundam. Like, people do miss. People are not perfect. And that's really something that's bringing this game into the fold as well, is that this brings the imperfections of what an actual Gundam battle could be like if there was so many of these Gundams on the field and whatnot. You would miss shots. You wouldn't be perfect like Amuro Ray. You wouldn't be doing some off the wall combat strategy to blow half of the moon up and cause the villain to go with it kind of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So the G maneuver is the Hades system, increases movement speed and primary weapon performance for a short time. The Hades system essentially is an amplifier. You use this, there is no drawback. The only drawback from my understanding is essentially the time limit that you have. Now, how long can you last? I'm looking at the sidebar and it's looking like this system can be activated and used for a good amount of about 15 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds, right? That can tell me immediately that the cooldown in this is gonna be terrible. The cooldown with this system is gonna be terrible. When I say terrible, if you use it at the beginning of the stage, you're more than likely not getting this back for almost about 2 minutes. Easy 2 minutes. Easy 2 minutes. I'm trying to tell you right now. When the time runs out, you can't reactivate it the rest of it until you respawn, which ideally will be the way to go if you don't want someone to just sit there and try to just recharge the Hadas by running around. That's just my opinion. But at the same time, this is interesting because just with what we got with the G maneuver and the main weapon, we're popping people off in like 2 seconds. Now the active skill 1 has the EMP grenade. The EMP grenade temporarily slows down the movement speed of all enemies in a small area. So if you toss that, as you guys see in the video, essentially if someone comes around, it just slows down the opponent. I don't know how that works in regards to slowing down like bullets and things like that. I don't think it's gonna work like that. To be brutally honest, I think that this skill right here is going to be very much not one of the go-to skills for this particular unit, only because it's a supplementary skill. Really where the thriving of this is coming from and what, you know, to really expect from this. But by yourself, in order to slow down the opponent to get some extra shots in, if you are surrounded, is a good way to get out of a dodge and get out of a problem. But to try to face up and play people face up to like just slow them down, I don't think it's gonna stop the frames of the bullet, so you're still gonna get clapped. The second active skill is a hand grenade. Finally, the typical hand grenade, the Call of Duty hand grenade. Toss the grenade, it blows up, takes 4 ticks of damage, not high level damage, but mid level damage. At 4 ticks, that's a good number. Mix it in with what you got, including the Hades main weapon active grenade skill, or this particular grenade skill. This is a one-man army. That's the best way to put it. This unit is a one-man army in that regards. Activating that G maneuver into an active skill 2, and you can clap somebody with these grenades, you're gonna kill them on the spot. The third skill is called the repair pod. The repair pod throws a device to repair allies in a small area for a short time. Now remember earlier in my second video, or in my third video, I mentioned that I wanted to see how the mid-range is going to incorporate a healer. This is how you do it, because whoever has the Pale Rider has to toss this out before the melee starts. As the melee starting, toss this out, and that's when the party really begins. Because with this allows your cast, your colleagues, the people that you want to keep alive to stay alive on the battlefield. And those are the close range specialists. Those are the mid range specialists. I'm not going to say the long range specialists, because the long range specialists got to go their own separate ways to be able to set themselves up to get, you know, some really good kill streaks and really good kills going on. And it's as simple as throwing it down on the ground, staying by it, and it automatically starts healing. Now, the rate that it heals is insanely fast. And honestly, if you're in the circle at the same time that you're getting attacked, I think that your health regenerates just a tad bit slower than the rate of damage that you're getting, let's say for example, by this Gundam that's over here hitting us with those bullets. So I think that if we're at 419 and he continued to shoot, what would end up happening is that we would have actually been close to death, but not dead. I may be wrong in regards to how this is going to be working, but if I have to nitpick and it comes out the way that I'm thinking, then that could be a possible problem in regards to usage, if the health regenerates slower than the attack output in that sense. You either give us more health per attack, or faster regenerative abilities in order for this to actually make sense. If that makes sense. That's it. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for watching. If you guys enjoyed this kind of video, again, please make sure you guys hit the sub, the like, the share. Continue coming through here on the channel. Show some love, support. You already know. And I'll catch you on my final video before the beta, which is Gundam Evolution versus Overwatch 2. Who you got? Let me know in the comment section. Holla at me.